Thank you.
Thank you all. And with that, we shall move forward to the agenda. Next on the agenda is the Business Services and Department and Treasurer. Item 11.1, we have a report from Mr. Dickey, and there's Mr. Dickey joining us with regard to COVID-19 provincial funding. Right. Mr. Dickey, do you have anything to add to the report at this time or any explanatory notes?
Nothing further this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Council, you've had a chance to see the report. Do you have any questions for Mr. Dickey at this time? And seeing none, I look for a motion. And Councillor Porter?
Move to receive his report and adopt a recommendation to authorize staff to request financial assistance.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Townend? Thank you. And Councillor Porter, any comments?
No.
Councillor Townend, any comments? No? Any other members of council? And I will add that I would like to offer my appreciation for Mr. Dickey and his whole department for the work they're doing to track and try to enumerate all of the extra costs that are piling into the township with regard to COVID and the paperwork that the province requires us to go through to seek these funding opportunities. So my appreciation.
Thank you.
Back to the mover for final comment.
No.
Thank you. Then I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Next up, 11.2, we have a human resources policy update. Again, a report from Mr. Dickey. Do you have anything to add to it at this time?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just one minor thing. When this policy was first looked at by council back in the spring, we had included this policy to cover travel expenses for council. And with the recent work on the updated remuneration bylaw, I removed that from this policy. I forgot to highlight that in the report. I apologize. So just to highlight that we did remove the eligibility for the councillors from this policy from the one you looked at previously.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions with regard to the travel policy? Seeing none, I'll look for a mover. Councillor Buderick, so moved. So do I have a seconder? Councillor Porter, thank you. Councillor Buderick, do you have any comments? Councillor Porter? Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Policy is approved. Moving forward to item 13.1, meeting schedule and office closures. We have a report from the clerk. The clerk is not current. Oh, there she is. Right. Do you have anything further to add to this report at this time?
No, Your Worship, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Council, do we have any questions with regard to the schedule that's proposed? Doesn't look like there's any. Okay. Do I have a mover for the schedule? Then Councillor Townend, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Okay. Councillor Townend, any comment? Seconder? Anyone else? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Moving to Economic Growth and Community Development Services. We have a report of the results of the tender for the Loyal Estates Business Park Phase 2. We have a report from Director Merritt, who has now joined us. Do you have anything to add to it at this time, Director?
Not unless, no, Your Worship, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Council, do we have any questions with regard to the report? I see none. Right. Do I have a mover for it? And go with Councillor Buderick and seconded by Councillor Townend. And Councillor Buderick, any comments? Councillor Townend? Anyone else? None? And I'll call the question. All those in favor of the two recommendations? All those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. And now on to communications for consideration. We have a request for proclamation from CUPE. Clerk is presenting to us. Do we have any questions with regard to the proclamation? Seeing none, I look for a motion. Councillor Porter? So moved?
Yes, so moved. Move to receive and proclaim October 22nd as Child Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Appreciation Day.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Parks? Thank you. Any comments? Mover?
No.
Seconder? Anyone else? No? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? It shall be so proclaimed. Moving to item 17. Are there any notices of motion or direct motion? Councillor Townend, go ahead.
I have two, Your Worship, which I'm going to try and pitch as direct motions, but that'll be up to you. So I'll pitch the first, if I may. I would move to authorize the mayor to formally request a meeting with the Honorable Caroline Mulrooney, Minister of Transportation, with the purpose of ascertaining further important details both the Amherst Island Ferry Dock and Terminals project and the arrival of the new vessel. If I get a seconder, I can explain.
As we're working on the communication, I will accept that as direct. Therefore, I will ask for a seconder. Councillor Porter, go ahead. Then it is so moved. Councillor Townend, go ahead.
Am I still on? Okay, good. I'm on mute, sorry. Yeah, just to say that whilst Loyalist continues to appreciate the cordial relationship that it has with our partners on this project, there does remain questions, the answers of which have a direct impact on township operations, as we are the operator of the ferry service. What's more, given obvious delays in the project, much of those, of course, inevitably due to COVID-19, it becomes increasingly important to offer revised details and reassessed expectations to the corporation and also to the residents of Amherst Island in particular, who continue to be directly impacted by the ongoing work.
Thank you. Seconder, do you have comment?
No, just that I obviously support what Councillor Townend is saying in his suggestion.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Seeing none, back to mover for final comment. Then I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And motion is carried. And Councillor Townend, you said you had a second one?
If there's somebody else with another motion, I can go after. I don't need to front end it.
Is there anyone else with a motion, notice of motion or direct motion? Seeing none, you're on, Councillor Townend.
All right. I move to request staff to provide a progress report on the drafting of protocols and processes for enabling the resumption of business for the township's various committees. If I can get a seconder, I can explain.
Again, I will accept it as direct as it's asking for a staff report. Councillor Buderick, you're seconding that? Thank you. Councillor Townend as mover, go ahead.
Yeah, obviously COVID's going to be with us for some time, and the threat of community spread is going to linger. But we obviously want to find a way to be able to continue township business in a safe and flexible manner. And I know staff have already been working very hard, very diligently to address this with respect to committees. I just think it's prudent to update the public on that progress. It's an important priority to be able to continue the work that our committees do.
Thank you. Seconder, did you have comment on it?
Certainly. It is very important, and I'm continuing with, like, for example, the taxi committee, which has been going for many months, and we're working on the accessible taxi for the township, and as well as a community hub meeting, which I know staff are involved with. So it's really good to get business rolling and moving forward.
Thank you. Other members of council wish to comment? Okay. Did the deputy clerk catch the motion? Thank you. We have it moved, seconded. Final comment to the mover? And I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. And I don't think there are, but are there any other notices of motion or direct motions? Seeing none, we move to the consent agenda. For the purpose of convenience and expediting meetings, matters of business that are repetitive or routine in nature are included in the consent agenda. All such matters of business contained in the consent agenda are voted on collectively. A particular matter of business may be singled out from the consent agenda for debate or for separate vote upon the request of any councillor. In the case of a separate vote, the excluded matter of business is severed from the consent agenda. Each and every matter of business contained in the consent agenda is recorded separately in the minutes. Is there any item within the consent agenda that we wish to separate? Councillor Porter?
Just a question first, through you to the clerk. The consent agenda captures items 19 to 22, 23, correct? And if that's the case, then I'd like to separate or pull out 19.1 and 20.1.
Thank you. 19.1 and 20.1, the procedural bylaw amendment and the Bath drinking water system report. Is there anything else that we wish to extract from the consent agenda? Anyone? No? And can I get a motion for the consent agenda with the items extracted? And Councillor Buderick, seconded by Councillor Parks. And any comments? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Then we go to item 19.1, the procedural bylaw amendment. And do I have a motion for that? Councillor Porter, you appear to be frozen and trying to talk at the same time. Councillor Porter, go ahead with your motion. And you're frozen again. Go ahead.
I know. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to move 19.1 be received and referred back to the committee of the whole. And if I can get a seconder, I can explain why.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor? And I'll take the Deputy Mayor as a seconder. Councillor Porter, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that, we did have quite a good discussion at committee of the whole about the procedural bylaw, but we never got to see sort of the end result of all that discussion prior to it coming here. So I think it's just important just to have one more last kick at the can, so to speak, a review of that and, finalize. There's a couple of ambiguous areas as well as the Deputy Mayor pointed out, an area that we need to make a final decision on.
Okay. Seconder, do you have a comment?
No, just that I agree. A little more discussion and then we can have a good workable bylaw when we're done.
Thank you. Any other comments on this one? Seeing none, back to the mover.
No, nothing further.
Thank you. I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. And then the other one was 20.1. Do I have a motion for that? Councillor Porter, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to move to receive the report, and I wanted to speak to it. That's why I extracted it.
And Thank you. Motion to receive. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Town. Oh, Councillor Townend. Mover, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to extract it because I did want to say congratulations to that department. The compliance report, it was stellar. It was excellent, 100% compliance. And not only that, but no comments or issues or recommendations. So I wanted that poll just to be able to point out what a great job is being done and to say congratulations.
And thank you very much. Any other members of council wish to comment on that? I would echo them, and assuming that the Director Merritt has come on screen to make comment as well.
To you, Your Worship. No, I just wanted to thank Councillor Porter for her comments. I will pass that on to the team. They've been working very hard throughout this pandemic to make sure that the residents have a safe drinking water supply at all times. Really appreciated the comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to add, as usual, they do a fantastic job all the time. So, but thank you, Council. And thank you, Director, and thank you, Councillor Porter. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Go to members' privilege. Is there anything under members' privilege for any member? Councillor Buderick.
I would just like to give a shout out to Linda and Victor Simpkins on an upcoming 50th anniversary celebration this weekend. Victor was a long-term employee within the township, and I'd just like to say congratulations to Victor and his wife, Linda.
Excellent, thank you. Others under members' privilege? Councillor Townend.
Yes, briefly, Your Worship, I'd just like to congratulate our engineering manager, Jenna Campbell, our project coordinator, Rami Mazarani, our climate action coordinator, Daniel Hendry, and Ms. Claire Ellison, who has been assisting for their work in putting together the public feedback sessions last week as part of Loyalist's initial effort to develop a community action plan. The feedback sessions were well organized and presented. And we at Loyalist are extremely fortunate to have such professional skill in undertaking that kind of work. The level of public engagement is of record among other projects of its kind, and it was a positive indication of further things to come. And I hope my colleagues would join me in that expression of gratitude.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. And I'll echo that. And we certainly saw a lot of conversation about it on social media afterwards. So the message is spreading even beyond those that were able to attend. So this is a wonderful thing. Thank you. Anyone else under members' privilege? No one? Okay, we'll move forward. Upcoming meeting dates. We are scheduled for October the 26th for regular council, still electronic. November the 2nd for Committee of Adjustment, and again for Committee of the Whole right after. And then November 11th for regular council, November 11th and 23rd for regular council meetings. Right. Are there any changes at this time to any of the proposed dates? I read it wrong. My apologies. November the 9th. I guess I'm thinking Remembrance Day already. Anyone else? No. Right. I'll look for a motion for the confirmatory bylaw. I'll go with Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Gordon. Right. Any comment? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. And a motion to adjourn. I still see Councillor Porter's hand up and Councillor Parks. Right. Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? It is carried. We are adjourned, folks. Thank you very much to all those who were able to attend, the council, to former Mayor Lowry, and all of the recipients that were able to attend and witness the presentation tonight. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving weekend, and we will see you again soon. Take care.